Are you saving too much for retirement? And I bet the answer is C, señorita. Spanish is the language of love. So I'm going to show you this article, this paper I'm reading from. Individual Survival Curves Comparing Subjective and Observed Mortality Risks by Luc Bissonnette, my man Michael Hurd, and Pierre Michaud. All right, so this is from 2014. I think they have other ones they did, updated 2017 and 2020, if memory serves, but I couldn't get the whole PDF without paying for it. And I'm cheap, dude. I'm cheap. I'm tight like that. They call me freaking Miserly Josh. Josh the Miser. That's who I am. Since longevity risk is paramount for retirement preparation, misperceptions or mortality risk could have far-reaching implications for well-being in retirement. All right, so I want to show you what this chart is right here. Oh, yeah, I got to put the red up here too. All right, so we got three different things going on, and the graph is kind of crappy, but I just want to show you what this means. This is your objective life expectancy, objective, with actual data. I think they have the National Death Index that these guys use. They say, what is the data set for people dying? That is the actual life expectancy. All right, the mortality tables. This is subjective life expectancy. The blue is on the positive side. You're optimistic. This is subjective life expectancy on the red. You're pessimistic, all right? So these are what you think your life expectancy is going to be. But this is what the life expectancy actually is. For the median life expectancy, median 50% of the people have more, 50% of the people have less. So let's keep going. I hope that makes sense because this is important. This is for women. This is for men. The graphs are off, but 50 years old to 100 years old, I think, 100 years old. I don't know why I put 110 there. But we're not talking about young kids. We're talking about people over 50 years old. All right, let's keep going. It's pretty interesting. All right. We find that men, blacks, and more educated, plus younger people, and even smokers, have a higher subjective survival, higher subjective life expectancy than is actually observed, or the objective life expectancy. They're more optimistic. Hispanic respondents appear to have lower subjective life expectancies. They are more pessimistic. All right? That's pretty interesting. The negative signs of the estimates of both education show the respondents, higher education people, show that they overestimate their life expectancies. All right, let's keep going. Differences in life expectancy may be important for understanding lack of preparation for retirement. Scholes in 2006 found that roughly 20% of households, particularly those with less education, appear to be saving too little relative to the savings that they needed for retirement. This would imply, though, that 80% may be saving too much for retirement. Savings behavior has important welfare implications. College-educated men tend to be optimistic about their survival prospects, and women as well, but he just focused on men this paragraph. Given that they overestimate the number of years for which they need to finance retirement consumption, they may be saving more than necessary. Interesting. For example, suppose a 65-year-old believes his remaining life expectancy is 20 years, but the fact is his objective life expectancy, the realized data, what we see with the mortality tables, his objective life expectancy is 15 years. He will plan to have enough savings to finance 5 additional years of consumption that most likely won't come to fruition. And that's what this is right here. So let's go into this again. So what we have here, these are going to be, but I want to just focus on the blue. This is the people who think they're going to, in this case, we'll just use that example they just gave. They think they're going to be around for 20 more years, but in actuality, they're only going to be around for 15 more years. Because that is the objective life expectancy, what we see with the data. That's the subjective life expectancy. So in this case, they're deferring spending because they think the spending's got to last another 5 years. Because they think they're going to be around. When they could be spending like it's 1999 and partying like it's 1999, but they won't. On the other hand, people think they're not going to live that long. They're probably spending more on the front end because they don't think they're going to be here, but actually they are. So they're probably going to be like in the last couple of years, like, oh man, I shouldn't have spent so much. But mostly my group's going to be these people who think they're going to live longer than they will. And so they're working an extra couple of years. They're not spending as much on the front end of their retirement. That's a problem. That's a problem. Given that consumption is proportional to wealth, you're going to spend what you have, right? A pessimistic respondent will tend to consume her wealth more quickly than an optimistic one. Because the optimistic one, like I just said, says, I got 5 more years to last. The pessimistic one says, no, I only got a couple more years. And here's where the rubber hits the road. When subjective expectations differ from objective ones, the consumer will suffer a welfare loss by not choosing the optimal path of consumption. And what that simply means is you're either working too long, you're saving too much, you're not spending enough on the front end of your retirement, or on the other hand, you're spending too much on the front end of retirement, or you didn't work long enough. But again, for college-educated people, men, younger people, in fact, they do a study in here. They're part of the study. I'll show you what I'm talking about. They say there is no evidence that households misperceive the risk of the wife of becoming a widow, but some evidence they underestimate the risk for the husband becoming a widower. It's actually pretty interesting. They show the younger you are as a man, the longer you think that your wife will be a widow, and the less you think you're going to be a widower. And what that says is, like, you think you're going to be, you think, we'll just say your wife is going to be a widow for 8 years, but you only be a widow for 2, if that makes sense. Well, you can't be both. I know, but we're talking of 13,000 population size. When in actuality is you could be a widower for 4 years and your wife could be a widow for 6. Either way, you're discounting your life together, how much time you have together. On the other hand, the older people who are older men, they say, my wife, they're basically spot on in terms of their they're being a widow or a widower, if that makes sense. But the younger people think their wives are going to be widows for longer than they actually are, and that they will be a widower for a lot less time. But they also attribute that they're not going to be together as long as they will be. Very interesting. Anyway, the point on this is just to simply say, like these people I was talking to today, man, they're freaking crushing from a southern state, and they don't have any kids. They're just kicking ass and taking names. And he didn't have a crappy old job. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, I like my job, but I like doing other things better, but I'm not miserable. She wasn't as all that inclined for a job. I said, so I told her, you just need to hang up your boots, dude. You know what I'm saying? And I said, hang up your boots, hang up your boots, hang up your boots. The kids today couldn't last one song in the pits we had back then. Who sang that song? Hang up your boots. The kids today couldn't last one song in the pits we had back then. I said, just hang up your boots. You're wasting time, because they're in the late 50s. They're healthy as freaking oxes. Are oxes actually healthy? I don't know. Question. But anyway, they're healthy, but they don't have kids, so they got other things they want to do, charitable inclinations and whatnot. I said, every day is another day that you don't have for tomorrow, and they have the financial resources. They're voluntarily employed. I said, we're good. You're good. And they go, really? I said, yeah, dude. Again, that doesn't mean you have to quit. But if you have other desires and things that are more important to you, you don't have time to waste. You know what I'm saying? Because, they have 90 years old. There's a life expectancy. That may or may not come to fruition, but they're both college educated. And so the question is, are we overestimating their life expectancy relative to actual data? And the actual data for people in their basically a couple of 60 years old is not life expectancy of 90 years old. It's not. As such, we're saying you can hang it up. Anyway, love your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the Locals channel down below. Every Wednesday, we go live at 8 p.m. $5 a month. $5 a month. You can join and comment. We didn't go live this last week because I interviewed my man, Edward Macquarie. But we'll pick it back up on Wednesday. Love to hear you. Love to see you there. So let's see you on Locals. God bless.